lot of masonry construction. So if it's
Oh,
hot all day, even at night when the sun goes down, all that stone just radiates the
all
heat
that heat.
back into the
Yeah.
building, and you're like the bread in a bread oven, just
Yeah.
cooking all night.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we are ready to rock and roll. We are live on YouTube right now, and hope everybody is doing good. We are at Wednesday, November 19th. It's hard to believe that not only has this month flown by, but this year has flying by. We're at the end of the year. We've got a lot of work to do to wrap things up for the end of the year if we got certain numbers to hit. Um, but I do have a special guest here today. I've got Catherine Rose, who is the founder and
Hello.
CEO of ChannelWise. Catherine, how are you doing today?
I am great, Dan. Great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
It's awesome to have you here. And yeah, we just ran into each other just a couple weeks ago in sunny Orlando, where it was nice and warm. And I mean, we didn't, it's great traveling, but it's not like we get outside in that warm weather and you know, we're inside conferences and listening to things, recording podcasts, whatever the case may be. So don't always get to appreciate that warm weather. But so as we kick things off, Catherine, I'd love to have you give an overview of yourself, your time in the channel, and just an introduction. That'd be awesome.
Sure, fantastic. So I have been in and around the IT tech channel for almost 2 decades now. I started in telecom, then AV, IT. So I've kind of moved around a little bit. And currently, as you mentioned, I'm the founder of a company called ChannelWise, and we provide enablement programs for vendors, typically for their partners. But we've got some really great things that we're doing now. I've worked with partners for many, many years in their marketing and sales as well. And we just, as you mentioned, Dan, we were at IT Nation and we did our coaching cafe there. So that was
Yeah.
really exciting. IT Nation ConnectWise brought us there to run their one-on-one consultations, and it was really fun. The partners really loved it, and so we do that at some of the industry conferences. So it's a really great service that we love to provide.
Yeah, it was great to see all the activity, the MSPs that were joining in and having insightful conversations. Any specific things that jumped out for any of those that were there sharing their wealth of knowledge with others?
Well, Tanya Petrozzi is an EOS consultant. She was very busy, and with a lot of the partners out there. She had a great LinkedIn post today, really talking about like, a lot of the partners are asking a lot of the same questions. How do I streamline my operations? How do I, set everything up so I can get maximum profitability? I'm going into the end of the year and looking for to the following year. We're looking to hire or restructure or, those kinds of things. So I think a lot of people were just really looking at that. And of course, one of the reasons we're talking today is I just came out with my newest book, The Field Guide for Channel Partners for AI for Channel Partners. And I was literally pulled aside at the airport for my last copy, so I don't have one
Oh no.
handy. But
Yeah.
I'm putting it into the chat here for folks because
Yes.
I gave them away at the show, and I also spoke there too, so it was really fun. But I've been, dabbling, I guess I would say, with AI for the last, 2 years. And obviously it's the newest buzzword. And what I really wanted to do when I was at IT Nation was talking to the partners about, let's level set. What does this really mean for us? And, there's a lot of noise about people coming out and saying, oh, make easy money with AI. And it's not easy. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Um, and I think that we all need to just kind of like take a beat, and let's figure out how we can use it to help streamline our operations, increase profitability, because it really is, it can be a revenue accelerator just by the fact that it eliminates a lot of that non-billable work, that you're doing. And
Yeah.
so, but when I first started with it, like a lot of people probably on this call, it was garbage. I would just ask it like, yo, help me write a blog post or something.
Right.
And then as I was doing it, I was like, that's it. I'm not, because, it would come back with like, in today's technology landscape, like all these like terrible things. And so I was
Yep.
talking to a friend of mine who I've known for many, many years, and she's an award-winning author. And she said, "No offense, you're just doing it wrong." So that's why
Yeah.
we teamed up to write these books because there is a nuance. There is a formula that you can use, and once you kind of get your hands around that, then building out, like, using it for just regular things, but then building out assistants that help you, and you get to train on your own voice and things like that, and then moving into agents, and then selling them to your customers. I think people are
Yeah.
just trying to leapfrog over everything because they're hearing this rhetoric that
Right.
everything's AI first. And there was a study, something like upwards of 70% of AI projects are going to be canceled by 2027, and it's mostly because people aren't doing their due diligence, or they don't have their data set up right. And so, it's hard to be successful when you're not setting the building blocks up properly.
Yeah, I mean, in really, I think the other thing too is the sky's the limit. There is just, let's face it, as technologists, as entrepreneurs, when you look at what the capabilities are of AI, you're like a kid in a candy store. And I literally was in a candy store last year, and it was the most amazing thing. This kid walks in and he just screams with excitement. He was literally a kid in a candy store, and it was the most cool thing. But I relive that moment because I think about AI, and that's what it is for us right now. We are living in a moment, we are living in a time where it is extremely exciting. There is so much potential for
Yep.
AI, and there is a struggle because it's like, where do we begin? Where do we go? What do we do? And there is so much. We have to pick the right path and and take those baby steps. Would you agree from that perspective?
Absolutely. And I also think that, you know, we have to not believe all the hype too, because there are limitations to it. And
Yeah.
you're hearing about all of these incredible things, and it's maybe it's going to get there. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but I do know that it's helpful and it's useful, but there are limitations to it. And I think that, I mean, ChatGPT like 5.1 just came out or whatever. I think it's terrible. I don't know about folks out there, but I think it, I thought 4 was fine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I thought, it was just fine. So, but they keep coming out with these new models, and I don't think that they're better, necessarily. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of the other AI folks out there saying the same things. And I do, it's useful, it's helpful again. And let's figure out how we can use it properly. We can put it in place. And the last thing I would ever want to do is try to sell this to and through my customers and have it blow up in my face. Because now you lost all credibility with these
Yeah.
people, and it could be a complete and total disaster. So my message is, you learn how to use it properly, understand that there are limitations to it, and use it correctly, like any other thing that you have in your tool in your toolbox. you know um Make sure that you have those, and then set the right expectations. There aren't any AI experts out there. Someone said that
Right.
about me the other day, and I was like, no. What I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not an AI expert.
Yeah.
I'm just a user, right? And there really aren't. And I mean, and we were just talking, Dan. I go all over the world. I speak, and I'm on the Tech Diplomacy Institute for the UN and different things, for the as a U.S. delegate. And I actually talk with AI experts, and even those people are like, I have no idea where the
Yeah.
what the future holds. So, I think that we want to make sure that we're doing it responsibly, properly. But of course, there's opportunity, and we don't want to not take the opportunity, but it could also hurt us and our customers if we're not careful.
So for anybody that is here live in the Zoom call, I know we are live out on YouTube, but you can certainly throw questions in the chat there. But if you have any questions that you have here live in Zoom, please feel free to either throw them in chat or just go ahead and jump in and ask any questions. There is a lot of curiosity around where AI is going. and there's so many avenues. I mean, I do know, just taking a look at some applications that we use here for everything MSP, we use HubSpot and one of the great things about HubSpot is the ability just to use their AI assistant, type something in. Now, it doesn't work for everything, but like some of the tasks, if you're going to build a workflow, if you're going to build, maybe a particular segment, with your list, the ability, instead of having to go in and saying click, create new, create this, add that, why shouldn't you be able to just type it in and say, I want this to be done? And it really is amazing how some things within HubSpot can do that.
Yeah.
And it makes life simpler. And I think those are the type of things that we need to dabble with, whether it be something like HubSpot or any of the applications that we have within our stack. Take a look at, where is AI being introduced? If it's something as simple as, hey, it will massage through what you're typing. So maybe you're in your ticketing system, you're in your, PSA and you've created a ticket and the tech created something as far as a note summary and you're having it massage through and making it sound better. Hey, that's one thing. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that is the most simple form of where AI comes into play, but it's not a bad thing. But the other things that it can do by simply saying, I want to be able to create, a segment. I want that segment to be defined by this, and it does it. That's awesome. And but dabbling, those baby steps I think are critical. What are some other recommendations that you have for somebody that's getting started internally within their own MSP and wanting to leverage AI?
Well, you mentioned the baby steps, and I think the first thing I would do if my livelihood depended on monthly recurring revenue, I would look at efficiencies. Where can I use AI right now today to drive efficiencies? And you just mentioned a few of those, right? Blog posts or asking, understanding how HubSpot uses it or any of those other tools use it for sales, marketing. A lot of folks have their note takers on here today. You can download that information and make things easier. QBRs, things like stuff that takes a lot of time that can drive revenue on the other side of it, but it just makes it easier if you had some assistance. And what I did was I worked with and we talked about this, Dan, when I saw you in IT Nation. I worked with the folks at Synthrio, that was started by some ConnectWise folks, Callan Sapien and Greg Lawley and some of those folks. And they have a platform that MSPs can leverage to build agents for their partners, for their customers. And, I was talking with them and I said, hey, can I use it and build something for partners? So we built partnergpt.ai. I'm putting the link in there. It's free for partners to use. And what I did was I took all the knowledge that I had and I built a suite of assistants for partners. There's a sales one in there. There's a marketing one. The sales one, I built a really fun like sales coach. So you can go in there and say, hey, I have a discovery call coming up. And it'll say, do you want a sales coach? Do you want it to be a cheerleader or tough love or whatever? And I use the tough love one because it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And so like things that are useful, like that's where I want to see these tools, not like the pie in the sky, but like, let's make it useful. And I think the number one thing is driving efficiencies. And where the efficiency starts is learning how to prompt. And so when we
Yeah.
talk about it, we, in our books and everything, it's like 3 words, who, what, how. Who are you? Who do you want the AI to act as? Who is the audience? What do you want it to
Right.
do? And how do you want it to do it? And how do you want it to come out? And that's it. If you learn nothing else from anything we talk about today, just remember those 3 things. And if you're able to tell it those 3 things, your output is going to be far and away any other thing that you can do. And it's the basis of literally every single thing, whether you're building just a regular old, prompt to get some, just general information, or if you're building an assistant that you're training, for your voice and for your
Yeah.
specific use cases, or an agent. That's how the building blocks go.
Yeah, and I do love the capability of being able to, as odd as it seems, have a conversation with an AI agent. Even ChatGPT, throwing it on where I'm actually speaking to to her, whoever. I don't, so,
Mine is
like
Chet. I call mine Chet.
Chet,
Wait, she
like,
has a gender? Now we
well,
have.
so Taylor and I came up with a name. We call her Bertha. So if we're
Everyone
talking
has their names. I love it.
Yeah, so if we talk about ChatGPT, it's Bertha, and but I will speak, to Bertha, and please don't send the white coats for me. But I will speak to Bertha, and I
Sure.
will essentially have a conversation and say, I have an idea, and I want you to ask me questions. Now you do need to let her know, he or she know, that you want them to be one question at a time.
Yeah.
And so I will say, I want you to ask me a series of questions regarding this idea and one at a time. And then I want you to summarize them, summarize the findings for me. And
Mhm.
it really is interesting and intriguing. It's just like having somebody else that you can bounce ideas off of.
One of
Have
the
you
things you
done
have to be
this?
careful of, though, is that it likes to agree with you all the time.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I will say to it, identify the gaps, because those are some things
Yes.
like identify the gaps. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Don't make things up because it still hallucinates. Because it's
Yep.
like I say so. Two things about AI. One is one of the things that you'll hear a lot of people talk about is like the more you use it, the better it understands you. No, it doesn't, because it doesn't have static memory. So I tell
Right.
people AI is like my dog. If I go out the garage and come back, she's all excited to see me. If I go away for 2 weeks and come back, she's all excited to see me because she didn't know that I was coming back. Right. And so you'll see that with AI. And then sometimes with the longer the thread, it even gets forgetful and confused. So you have to take it, kind of in baby steps.
Yeah.
And what you were saying there about like the dog, my dog too, always wants to please me. So the
Right.
AI is going to do that, and it's going to feed you back what you want. And so you have to, you have to train it, ask it like, okay, push back, give me, identify the gaps. That's a big thing that I do as well. Oh, and someone said, yeah, it's wrong a lot. It's wrong a lot. It can
Yeah.
be, and that's where
It
you have to
can
be
be.
really careful, especially with statistics and things like that. So be very very careful about you know uh, quoting things that come from it. Um, and but, again, it's like anything, it is, but it can be super useful, and obviously drives a ton of efficiencies in my business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike
Um,
asked, how much do you have to learn about APIs to make this happen? Well, I mean, if you're just using regular old chat gpt, pretty much none. If you're building agent, so sometimes there's confusion between, and I'm sorry if I'm preaching to the choir here or whatever, but there's confusion between assistants and agents. And they can't make it more confusing by basically naming it something simple. So the way I define it, and I think most of the folks out there define it, is an assistant is a specific thing that you put together for a workflow. So I have a custom GPT, or a gem they call it on Google, and or and that's an assistant, and that's a marketing assistant. I have one for sales emails that I write. I have one for my books. I have, and it's specifically trained on my voice, my brand personality. I have like style guidelines and things like that in there. An agent will actually do things automatically. So some people will use agents like to answer emails. I don't. Because I don't want something in there
right.
like answering my emails or answering my LinkedIn's and things like that. So with putting agents together, you will definitely need to understand AI APIs, and even a lot of them aren't properly built to handle those like big workflows. But a lot of the tools that you all are working with in your stack, they're all pushing for the capabilities because they know that
Yeah.
interconnectivity is so important for MSPs to be able to deliver their services better.
Well, I will say before Mike jumps in here, because I see he's off mic, or he's off mute. One thing that we did for a Very Merry MSP holiday event for our registration is I did integration with HubSpot, and it was incredibly easy on how some of the tools that we used did that integration. And So basically, what it's doing is if you're going to register for a Very Merry MSP holiday, you put in your email address. And first thing it does is it goes against HubSpot and it checks to see if you're in our database. If you're not in the database, it will just prompt you to go to the next option, which is just filling out the form. If you
Hmm.
are in our database, it will send you a one-time passcode that you can enter in, and then it will display all of your information that we have on file right on the screen. And so then, if everything's good, you just continue on from there. If you need to edit it, you can edit it, whatever the case may be. But that integration went pretty easy. It was pretty easy.
Yeah.
You know, I think the APIs, if we're talking about like creating something and tying into, a PSA and RMM, whatever the case may be, there might be more involved from that perspective. Mike, do you want to share any more? Do you have any more you want to talk about?
I just went over to the link, the partnergpt.ai, and I saw create QBRs. And I was like, hmm, that would be really cool. But in
Yeah.
order to do that, it's got to link into my RMM, pull devices, link into my PSA, pull tickets. And I'm assuming you've got to do that through API calls. And so then I was like, okay, how much am I going to have to learn about that in order for it to get the job done?
So just I want to level set. Partner GPT is not, you can build agents with Synthrio. Like you can build agents that will do that for you. The Partner GPT is more of a like kind of entry level, honestly. So what I would do in that case, you could pull the information and then put it into Partner GPT and say create a QBR for me. But it's not going to integrate directly into your
Okay.
system.
So you could go into your
Yeah.
PSA and say export my client list. Then you could go over to your RMM, export my client list with devices, and then feed those two things to it. And then,
Right, you'd have to gather the data, but you want to anonymize it, obviously. I mean, like Synthrio has it built that they have all their security things, protocols in place. But
yeah,
regardless of what it is, you'd want to limit any kind of exposure. So like I do, I'll say customer ABC. I'll change that. But yeah, I think that for our purposes, so that you would, in that case, you would want to build an agent for you specifically to pull this data on a quarterly basis and then provide you with that information. But you can do it, and it's a little bit more manual, but it will still weave through the information and give you the QBR information that you want a lot faster than you having to pull it all together by hand.
okay.
Yep. Mike, anything else on that area?
No, that explains it, and
Okay.
that kind of answers my question because I'm not a coder. I
Yeah.
haven't programmed since like ASP 20 years ago. So
I tell myself enough to be dangerous, but I think that
Yeah.
but I mean Python, all that, it's over my head. But they do have a lot of, of programs that will facilitate it now, make it a lot easier. But if you can export something to an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV, you can get the information that
right,
you
yeah.
want from AI. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely exciting. I think we might not be true coders, but I think in the world of vibe coding, we're all coders today. Right? It really is fun being able to go in and create different things, different apps. I've probably created about 8 or 9 different apps so far, and just toying around, having to do different things. And, it's exciting because it's like the world is at your fingertips. The potential of being able to come up with things. And I think it's really going to shake up, many industries as far as, new tools. I think it's also going to put keep a lot of vendors on their toes, which is a great thing, because this is given the ability to say, hey, this can be done in a different way.
Mm.
And,
Hmm.
so, again, if you are in a particular application, why should you have to go through and do 20, 30, 40 clicks to accomplish something when you could go into, again, I'll use HubSpot, say,
Yeah.
this is what I'm trying to accomplish, help me with it.
Yeah.
And, it's I don't understand yet why some things within HubSpot it will do and some things it can't do. Like there are times where it will tell
Well,
me,
I can't program my Excel spreadsheet. I'm like, hey, help me with this formula. It's like, can't do that. I was like, okay, you're not useful. You can go
right,
away now.
right. Yes. And I have gotten so frustrated. I have I can't bleep things here right on our call, but I would have to bleep things, to tell you the things that I've said to, my assistant. And like literally I have had issues where it's doing something over and over and it's doing the wrong thing and it's breaking
Yes.
things. And I've literally said bad things to it. And all of a sudden, at one point, I didn't tell it what needed to be done. All I said is, this is blank and crazy.
Yeah.
This needs to be fixed. And all of a sudden, it did something and it fixed it. So apparently, anger sometimes, to an assistant,
Yeah.
can actually work. So,
Well, I also think two things. So one, in that case, I would tell you to go back to the who, what, how formula. Make sure that you're telling it exactly what you want it to do. And two, start a new thread. Because as again, it gets tired, it
yeah,
gets annoyed, it gets it
yeah,
gets and it can get stuck in a feedback loop. So those, but I definitely hear that frustration because I'm like, are you kidding me? I've told you 5 million times not to use, the word delve or something like that. And it keeps coming. It's fluff. The new thing now is fluff. It always says that, like anything I write now, it'll say this is a no fluff version of whatever. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know where that came from. So but it still does that. And so it is, but sometimes you have to start a new thread. You have to be, kind of be patient. But one of the other things is I think that there's a misconception that digital natives on your team are the ones that are going to drive AI adoption. And those people speak in emojis. Okay. AI
yeah, yeah,
needs the step-by-step breakdown in order to give you the output that you want. And so I think folks like maybe I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm a little more seasoned, and I've had to onboard new employees and contractors and all the different things that I do. So I'm a little bit more adept to, making sure that I'm breaking things down in a step-by-step fashion. And I think that
right,
just gives us a leg up if we remember that AI is an assistant, not an oracle. It
right.
doesn't know our brain. It doesn't know what
Yeah.
we want until we specifically tell it.
Until it does, because there are some times that it does things that are surprising, and it does remember things from past conversations. But yes, absolutely. And I have literally gone to Claude and said, "All right, Claude, I am in Lovable. I'm in whatever app I'm using, and it is not listening to me. This is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to accomplish. This is what I'm telling it, and this is what it's doing. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. How do I need to communicate properly?" And it has come up with instructions and
Yeah.
it is said, "Dear Lovable," or whatever, you know, and I'll take that and throw it into that other app. And sometimes that does help. Apparently,
I love Lovable.
AI mind, like
Yeah.
minded,
Yeah.
it can, better articulate what needs to be communicated. So,
Yeah, sometimes you just have to ask it. Like, I'm trying to get this result. What's the best prompt? Especially with images sometimes, because I'll know what I want, but I'm not a Hollywood cinematographer. Like, I don't know exactly how to say it. So I'll be like, this is kind of what I
right,
want. And it'll say, oh, it'll give this whole long thing that I can then go ahead and use in Sora or one of the other image programs or whatever to get the image that I want. But again, the efficiencies it can drive. And what I tell people too is like, choose one. Like, look at as a business owner, I know what takes the most time that I'm not getting paid for, really, like the non-billable stuff. And sometimes it's one-on-one meetings, sometimes it's just sales follow-up emails, whatever it is. And I pick one thing, and then I'll build an assistant, or I'll work on what we call a context document that has, instead of building an assistant, you can just have it in a Word doc and you upload it and say, okay, here's everything about my business. This is what I'm trying to do. Help me, kind of thing. And so
right.
once you have that one workflow, then work on the next one and the next one. So, again, just use it to drive efficiency first, and you can make money off of it later if you're reselling it to your customers.
Yeah. And and I think let's go back to some of the things that MSPs could be doing, within their own business. Look at think about your own environment as if you were looking at a client environment. Think about doing an assessment of your environment as if you were doing an assessment of a client environment, looking for inefficiencies, looking for bottlenecks, looking for ways that you can deliver a better client experience, be more efficient, more productive, more secure, and be more profitable. So when you look at each of those things, and as if I wish I had, more time throughout the day to do things, but we can build time in by putting some tools together. And so look at those things in your business and try to figure out ways to make it happen, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. Yep. Where do the inefficiencies lie and how can we solve for them? There was a comment that came in. Norm said, "What do you say to a prospect when they say, I don't need you, I can use AI?" Now, I don't know specifically how someone would say that to an MSP with a straight face, but
Right, right.
maybe they would. Like for a
Yeah,
marketing person, they might say it, but I would probe more obviously on that to say what exactly do you mean? Like what do you think that AI can do that I'm not doing? Or how are you thinking you can use AI? Even for like on the marketing side, I have marketing team. I haven't gotten rid of any of them because they use AI. If anything, it helps them be better at their job because they can think more strategically now. My team is constantly coming to me with new ideas and different things that we can do versus before we get on our one-on-ones and would just be a list of tasks that they did. I wrote these 3 emails, I did that, whatever. And now it's like, hey, what about if we do this? Because we have so much more time to think about how we can actually grow the business because we're not actually just sitting there writing emails all day, if that makes sense.
yeah. And Norm, I don't know if you have any more that you can add or contribute to that. I guess the first thing would be just asking clarifying questions, trying to get them to understand as far as what do you mean by that? In reality, I mean, we are far, far from where AI is going to take over the role of an MSP, but that doesn't mean that's not going to happen. I think more and more of what MSPs do on a daily basis, a lot of the trivial things that can be done in a more efficient manner that we should already be doing more efficiently. We have had these tools, maybe not the full breadth of what, is available today, but there's so much that we've had the ability to do through scripting, that if we haven't been doing that up to this point, shame on us because the
Right.
tools are
Right.
there. And this I think is waking up MSPs all around the world of saying now's the time. If I haven't jumped on this in the past, as far as trying to implement automation, let's throw that word AI away and let's just
Yeah.
say how can we become more how can we be better at automating things for ourselves, for our clients? We didn't need ChatGPT to tell us that. We've known as technologists that there are
Mm-hmm.
ways, but it is waking us up and saying, it's now or never. If you
Yeah.
don't jump on it now, you will become an MSP that will fade, just fade away, and
Yeah.
you will go nowhere.
And
So
there's a
unfortunately,
lot of predictions out there about how, it's going to, MSPs are going to go away. Look, in the 90s, they said that the internet was going to disintermediate the channel because, people were just going to, buy all their PCs online, like, all this stuff. Well, yeah, the face of the VAR has changed and evolved,
right.
but it adds the services. Where are the opportunities? Right? That's what I always say. Where are the opportunities? One of the number one reasons that these projects are going to fail, those 70+% that MIT said we're going to fail over the next couple of years, is because the data is garbage. How can you be a good steward or a good student of understanding how the data has to flow that
Right.
you can help your customers get the most out of that? That's worth a premium because they don't know how to do it. Because if they did, they would be doing it, right? So
Yeah.
there's so many, like you said, Dan, looking at your customers and where are the inefficiencies in the customer experience and building them an assistant or an agent. It doesn't have to be some super fancy thing. It could be like, hey, I'll build you custom GPTs for your law firm or for your dental practice or whatever that you can, maybe pull, health insurance report, whatever it is. But making sure that it's secure, obviously, teach, there's trainings you can do. When I was just in Europe, the big thing right now is the EU AI Act. And if you don't know anything about it, you got to read it, because just like GDPR, it's coming for all of us. Okay.
Or no, you can leave it alone.
Sorry.
Sorry. I was I got asked a question and forgot I was unmuted.
Oh, sure, no
Oh.
worries. So so it's in effect right now, but in August of 2026, it will go in effect with fines. And some of those things stem from AI. They want to make sure that you're AI literate. And there's obviously different, levels of that. If you're like the engineer at Google versus if you're an MSP versus
Yeah.
if you're a whatever. But there are a lot of things there. So you have to make sure, and you can be that educator for your clients. That's worth a premium. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's I don't buy into the hype and I don't buy into the fear. There's always opportunities if you open up your eyes and take a look at it. But in the meantime, make your business more efficient so you can make more margin and you make more money. So then you can put those resources into the opportunities when they become available.
And I can't stress enough that, with what you just said, make your own business more efficient or productive or secure, et cetera, et cetera. Because as you're sitting there wondering, how can I help businesses with all of this new excitement of AI? Once you start doing it for yourself and once you start implementing things in your own business, you're not going to be sitting there thinking, how can I help anybody else? Because you will know how you can help others because you've
Yeah.
helped yourself.
Right.
You've found solutions to, you found ways to save time. And I don't care if you're a one-man shop. I don't care if you have 100 employees or 500 employees. We all we are all lacking time,
Yeah.
so a
The
lot of
most
small
finite resource. Yeah.
organizations think, I need more people.
Yeah.
Well, no, you don't. You need to be more efficient. You need to look at ways to automate things. Now, yes, it might take some time to make
It
that
does. Yeah.
happen,
Yeah.
but just like anything, I've always said to technicians in my MSPs that every ticket you need to look at and think, is there a way that we could either reduce or eliminate this ticket from happening again in the future?
Yeah.
Because, and we're talking about automations and scripts,
Mm-hmm.
um, because, there are ways that we can, keep tickets from happening again in the future, and as we talked about a lot in the past too, or we've talked most recently in the past, think about where Microsoft might go with a Copilot for Windows, and, identifying issues within, the Windows desktop and resolving them for someone. Or if somebody has an issue, there's ability for them to type in, I'm having a struggle with this. I'm trying to print and it's going here instead of here. And it resolves that. So that is going to happen, whether we like it or not. So that is where we must differentiate ourselves and truly find ways in which we can help our clients with business outcome. Um, we talked about we've talked about this forever, as far as having
Yes.
strategic business discussions with our
Conversation.
clients, right?
Yes.
Not
Yes.
technical discussions. We have
Yeah.
talked about this forever. And now more than anything, we have a some very easy ways in which we can help them with that business outcome. And it doesn't have to be monumental. you
Right.
know it can be something simple. And I've talked to our group about, where we, even with, our Facebook group, as people come into the Facebook group and they request to become a member, we have 3 or 4 questions that they have to
Okay.
ask. And before we, once we approve it, then we take that information and put it into HubSpot. Well, that is a process. So, we take those screenshots and they sit in our photo roll until we get around to adding that information to HubSpot. So what I've done is I've created an app that allows us to take that screenshot. Unfortunately, we can't do integrations into Facebook. Facebook
You can't
is
use Zapier or anything. Absolutely. Yeah. But you like,
yeah.
I think you're saying you take the screenshot, ask ChatGPT to extract the information and then put it in.
Yeah, well, so I've created an app, so I've bypassed the Chat GPT. You could go that route, but I've created an application that takes that screenshot and it automatically extrapolates that data and it puts it into HubSpot automatically.
Yeah.
And it marks them as a marketing contact and it's got all the workflows. And so some of it is back end with HubSpot with workflow rules, but
Yeah.
getting that information into HubSpot is an automated process versus a manual process now.
Right.
So it saves us time. It allows us to get the information in faster, much more sooner than it would be if it were manual.
Right.
Because it comes down to, okay, do I have time to do this right now or not?
Yeah.
So like that is one of the most simple things that I created, and it saves us time. So
Saves you
when we
time,
think
but can make
about,
you money because now they become prospects faster in your database and you can market to them
yes,
faster. So
exactly,
absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then think about, okay, maybe so you create a tool for yourself. Maybe there are other people that would say, hey, I would love to have that same thing.
I
And
guarantee
you
if you go to your
monetize it.
customers, especially SMBs, a lot of them use HubSpot and you can say, "Hey, have you ever thought about this? Do you have a Facebook group or maybe there's
Yeah.
another missing link but
Yep.
that you can use that same application for." But just having those, like you said, if you told all your customers that you did that, they're gonna think you're a genius.
Right.
Hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? And maybe you can and maybe you can't, but at least it opens up those conversations. And like, as I
Yeah.
said, it's really about finding the own efficiencies in your own organization and solving for those, and then bringing those out to your customers and then finding those opportunities. Absolutely.
Right. And this is a great way to get everybody involved. Everybody in an organization, everybody in your organization, because it's new, it's exciting. There's that. But think about your clients' organizations. If everybody can be involved in the process of making their organization, smarter and more efficient, people want to be part of that. People
Yeah,
want to be part of that process, and it's a big win for everybody. So.
absolutely. Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
other questions out there? Anybody have any questions? Who's got a question? Eric,
Anyone?
you said you had a question and you were off mute, or did we answer that question? Are you?
I asked a question and then I forgot to mute myself. And as
Oh,
as
okay.
as fate would have it, somebody walked in my office and asked a question, and I dutifully answered it.
Gotcha.
So now
Gotcha.
you guys know if you're leaving me in the building alone, yeah, lock the front door.
Mike, you came off of mic or off of mic. I can't say it. You came off of mute. Go ahead, Mike.
So confusing, Mike and Mike. Boy, yeah.
I know. I know.
So I just completed the Very Merry thing, and
Yeah.
it worked just like you said. I've been in there before. The only thing was it took my phone number, and depending on how it was formatted before, it tried to grab the parentheses around the area code and feed that in. So that
Oh,
part got jacked
Interesting.
up a little bit. So maybe have it rip through and take the numbers and strip out the special characters and then try to feed it back through.
Excellent. I will add a note to that. I appreciate that. And yes, for Jackie, let me throw the link into chat. Jackie is, I know, a past winner. And
ooh,
the
love the winners.
reason, yes, the reason why I know Jackie was a winner is because I remember the prize as if it were, I mean, this was a few years ago that Jackie won.
Still using that too.
It was a toaster. It was an e-toaster, a digital, right? Because it had
You
an
can do
app.
it from your phone?
No?
No,
Okay.
okay.
No. Okay. It looked
I was
cool.
like,
I
that'd
mean,
be kind of cool.
But it still is cool. It's got a touch screen on the front. You just press the like how dark or light you want the toast to be.
that's
You
right.
just
Yep.
select that. It's really cool. I still love it.
Yes.
Norm's
I
like,
want
wait a
a
second, I
3D
want a
printer.
smart toaster.
Yeah.
I want a 3D printer. I think it was last year.
Yes, you did. That's
Perfect.
right.
Fantastic.
I use my prize several times a week.
That's right. Eric won a
I won
grill,
the
right?
smoker. Yeah, I won the smoker.
Ooh, a
Yeah.
smoker.
And it was a
Yeah.
big one. It wasn't some little chintzy one. It was
No,
I
no.
might have to enter.
Yeah, we have a lot of awesome prizes this year. Our top prize is the MSP Recharge Weekend, where you get a $1,000 Delta gift card, $1,000 Airbnb gift card, and $500 of spending money.
Nice.
And that is sponsored by Sophos. That is the grand finale prize. Our grand prize is the e-bike, the electric bike, and that's
Ooh,
sponsored by PAX8. So, uh,
nice. Good for you,
yeah,
Pax8 and Sophos. Look at them
yes.
ponying up. We like that.
Yes, very cool prizes. Great way to give back to our community. And
Definitely.
so yeah, so Mike, I appreciate that. I'm gonna look into that. But so the process, we wanted to make it easy because it was a thing that's like, why should you have to fill out the form all over again, right?
Right.
Just if you're in our database, just have it prompt you with what information we have. If there are changes, you can quickly edit it. If not, you just submit and you're good to go. Some of this is kind of laughable because it's like, okay, is this really artificial intelligence? I
It's
mean,
not.
it's not,
I'll stop you right there. Spoiler alert. It's not.
Exactly.
But
you
I mean,
used
so when I
you
first started
used AI to
Channelwise,
get there.
I taught myself enough code to be dangerous, and we built this platform. And back then, that was in 2019. All the startups that were in competitions, you had to say AI, even though it
Yeah.
was an algorithm, which is not AI, right? Now it's even worse. Like now everything, oh, we're AI first. Well, yeah, I mean, but it's not. It's automation, it's algorithms, it's your regular old computer math or whatever. It's
Yep.
not AI. So I think it
Yeah.
is, I think it is a smart question you need to ask.
Yep.
Especially some of these vendors out there, whatever, who are saying, oh, we're AI first. What does that actually mean? How does that help me do better
Right.
business, right? How does that
Yep.
help me be more efficient? How does that help my customers? What are the guardrails? Again, like we use the Synthrio platform for Partner GPT. I mean, they are, because they came from ConnectWise and they understand, all of the intricacies of cybersecurity, like it's locked down and they have all their certifications and everything. But like, that's the question. And then who's liable for something? So if you say, oh yeah, your whatever the tool that you're using inside your stack is automated, well, what if it makes a mistake? Like,
Right.
now, am I on the hook for that? Are you on the hook for that? Or how does that work? So I think it's
Yeah.
important, Dan, to really think about it. And yes, it's not all AI. No.
Yeah. Mike, you did bring up a good point. I did leverage some AI tools to make that happen. But you think about, like, even if you're creating an agent, essentially it could end up just being an app, right? I mean, but in the background, it's leveraging AI to make a lot of it happen. So, I think we are in a very confusing area right now, much like the cloud was very confusing for our
Yeah.
customers, right?
Yeah.
I'll never forget the day walking into a client's office, many, many years ago, and the chief financial officer's like, Dan, I was just at a conference and we need to move to the cloud. We need to move to the cloud, right? And I'm like, well, like tell
What
me
does that
more.
mean?
And he's
Yeah.
like, so I start talking about how, 365 is in the cloud. He's like, no, can't be. This is brand new stuff. I just got back from a conference. I just heard about this. So there's that confusion. And there's also that confusion of AI, right? And creating agents and what is an agent? Because we think about an agent in a different way, like an RMM agent, right?
Mhm.
Or we think about, there's a variety of agents that we might use, within our stack. So we think, okay, is that what we're creating? Like, and if you think about an agentic agent, but no, I mean, that term there's a misunderstanding there, and there's that
Yeah.
misconception.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, we're creating value. That's what
Yes.
matters,
Yes.
right? We're helping them
Matters.
with their business. We're helping them take their business forward, moving their business forward. Pax8 has done a great job of putting their document together, their guide. I do not have it with me. They created an agentic agent. Actually, it's the MIP guide, and the Managed Intelligence Provider Guide, and they talk a lot about how, through digital workforce, somebody on the digital workforce side, an agentic agent that might be working 2, 3 hours a day can provide an amount of value to that organization that surpasses by leaps and bounds what an individual can do. And and a lot of that can come down to the value that you're providing as far as how do you charge? Do you sell that agent? Do you sell that agent on a monthly basis? Do you sell it based on
License it.
usage? I'm sorry, what was that, Catherine?
License it, yeah, based on, it depends
Yeah,
on what it is, based on
yeah.
usage, based on the amount
Outcome?
of outcome, because you have to pay for those tokens. It's not free.
Yes, right.
What I mean? Like,
And
so if you're building your own internal RAG or something, I mean, that's a lot of work and a lot of, things. But
right.
if you're using someone else's, you have to pay for that usage. It's not free. And that's why I think it's important to not leapfrog over everything and think, oh, I'm gonna deploy agents and I'll charge a monthly fee and I'll make all this money. Well, if you're not careful, it could end up costing you.
Yes.
And it's that new shiny thing. And I think that you have to know about everything. You have to be able to articulate it with your customers. And like you said, that client was like, I want something in the cloud. Your customers might come to you and say, I want agents that will do everything for me. Okay, well, what does that mean? Let's break it down. Maybe they just want assistance. Maybe they just want,
Yeah.
the AI to help them, write a blog post or whatever that is. And like, you can build that assistant. It's not an automated agent. A lot of those things you were talking about, like, in my opinion, if it can be the problem that you're trying to solve can be solved with an if then, it's not AI. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, you
Right.
have it's a fully automated solution that understands the relationship between the data, how it works, and being able to kind of put all those things together based upon its training knowledge versus if somebody puts a phone number in over here, then put it in my HubSpot. That's different.
Yeah.
I was just reading about that, and that's now called agentic.
Yeah.
The
So,
former. Yeah.
yep. So agentic agents are, where it's actually doing functions for you. It's doing tasks for you. And those agentic agents, let's say you build an agentic agent around helping through the sales process, and it's helping you through the sales process and you're accomplishing a variety of goals. You can charge so many ways for that, right? Besides selling it, just, licensing the use of that. But you could also, all the way on the flip side, and this is completely out of the realm of what we're used to, charge based on them closing a deal. What if you charged a base amount for the use of the tool, but then you take, let's say, a quarter of a percentage of the deal based on the success of that? You closed the deal and you charge a percentage of that. Now you might be thinking, why would I get involved into that point? Well, it's all part of the pricing strategy. It's all part of, could I put this in place for them, still make money, but if it allows them to close a deal and it's because of that agent, why shouldn't we get paid,
Absolutely.
percentage of
Yeah.
it, right?
I mean, a lot of MSPs are smart. They put forth, CPA services, or they'll bring marketing people in to do websites or whatever it is, and they make a piece of all of that. So why would it be any different
Right.
if you had someone building agents for you? And because look, you don't have to do it yourself. You have to
Yeah,
build everything yourself. You can,
right.
you can get folks to do it for you, and then deploy them, and then, like you said, license them out. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have 2 minutes left. So does
Yeah.
anybody have a final question? If not, I'm going to give the floor to Catherine to kind of chat for the next couple minutes and give us some of her closing thoughts.
Well, thank you,
So,
Dan. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and interrupt me
yeah,
or throw it in the chat. But thank you, Dan, and everyone for joining today.
Thank
I'm
you.
super passionate about helping this community. Even though I really work mostly with vendors, I wrote that field guide for partners because I'm a small business owner. You know, I'm a business owner myself, and I know the efficiencies that it's been driving for me. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. I built Partner GPT to help the community because I think that it's just super important for all of us to understand, how does this stuff work? Can we use it? How can we use it? And no, by being able to have the AI trained on everything that has to do with the channel. I mean, you still have to use that who, what, how formula, right? You have to say, you don't have to necessarily say who, because it already knows you're an MSP, right? Or it might ask you after you ask it what to do. It'll say, are you an MSP, or those kinds of things. So it prompts you through that who, what, how formula, and you don't have to think about it. But what it'll do is it'll start programming your brain to understand how to use it, and then you can take it and implement it more and more in your company, hopefully drive those efficiencies and put more money in your pocket, have those spend more time, as they say, working on your business than in your business, and then
Yeah.
you can add and start selling to your customers and add more revenue to your bottom line. So that's what we're here for, and hopefully it's going to help.
Excellent. And Mike, you bring up a good point that you had just got off you just got some information from Pax8 about the new SMB Copilot offers that will be available in the Pax8 marketplace. I am very excited about what Pax8 is doing as far as adding a variety of agents that will be something that we can purchase within the Pax8 marketplace. I think for anybody that's struggling to think about how can we help our clients, but I don't want to build things. It's
Right.
just not me. It's not my organization. I 100% understand that because, at the end of the day, if that's not in your wheelhouse, I'm always one of saying stay in your own lane,
It
and
takes too
make
much
sure that
time to
you're.
learn it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I truly believe that once Pax8, which a lot of it will come out the first quarter of 2026, a lot of agents will become available that we can purchase and resell for our clients. And it is really going to help us with, the whole AI movement. So, all right.
Right.
With that being said,
Thank you,
everybody,
everyone.
thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much for your time. I did throw a link into chat for Catherine's LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with her. She had thrown in a link to her book. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, everyone.
You get
Thanks,
my
everyone.
note,
Bye.
Dan? Dan?
Yes.
Did you get my note?
No.
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 I
Was it
just,
Oh,
nice?
you sent a private note.
yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, don't say
Well, and
anything.
good luck for everyone with Very Merry MSP. I'm excited to hear all about
Yes.
the toasters and accoutrements that everyone will win.
Awesome. Have a great
Bye,
one,
everybody.
everybody. Take care. Norm, I'll connect with you.
Yep.
All right. So let's see here. I'm trying to register. 1 second here.